Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're tackling worry. You know that feeling, right? It gets us all.
Absolutely. We all wrestle with worry at some point.
But what if there were ways to actually, break free from that worry cycle? We're going to explore that today, diving deep into the insights from this source. How to stop the worry cycle.
Sounds like a plan. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious about this. So, in a previous deep dive, we talked a bit about what worry is. And now we're looking at how to actually stop it. Like, practically, how do we do that?
Right. It's one thing to know about worry, but quite another to actually stop it from taking over.
Exactly. And this source has some really interesting ideas. One that caught my eye was this idea of using prayer as a worry buster.
Interesting.
There's this quote from Max Lucado that really stood out to me. It says, "No one can pray and worry at the same time." But is that true? Can you really just flip a switch and go from worrying to praying?
Well, think about it this way. When you're truly focused on prayer, you're connecting with something bigger than yourself. It's about shifting your mindset from fear and anxiety to faith and hope.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those really stubborn worries? The ones that just keep coming back no matter how much you try to push them away.
Yeah, those can be tough. This source actually talks about something called thought stopping. It's a technique that's often used in something called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT for short.
CBT, I've heard of that.
It's basically about recognizing those negative thought patterns and then intentionally interrupting them.
So how does that work?
Well, imagine a worrisome thought popping into your head. It might be something like, what if I mess up that presentation tomorrow?
Right.
What?
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. Stage fright is real.
Totally. But instead of letting that thought spiral out of control, you actively stop it. It's like putting up a stop sign in your mind.
Okay, stop. Got it.
Then the key is to replace that negative thought with a more positive, truthful one. So instead of, what if I mess up? It could be something like, I've prepared well. I'm going to do great.
So it's like replacing worry with confidence.
Exactly. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You're basically rewiring your brain to respond to worry in a different way.
That's fascinating. It's like you're training your mind to think differently.
Right. You're building new habits of thought.
It all comes back to habits, doesn't it?
It really does.
Another thing this source emphasizes is the power of gratitude. It sounds almost too simple, but it claims that gratitude and joy can actually act as antidotes to worry. But, is there any actual science behind that?
There actually is. There's growing research showing that practicing gratitude can actually have a positive impact on your brain. It can help reduce those stress hormones that fuel worry and anxiety.
Wow, so it's not just about feeling good. It actually changes things physically in your brain.
It does. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you practice gratitude, the stronger that gratitude muscle becomes.
That's pretty amazing. Any tips for actually putting this into practice? How do you actually cultivate more gratitude?
One simple way is to keep a gratitude journal. Each day, just take a few minutes to jot down a few things you're thankful for. It could be anything, big or small.
Like even something as simple as a good cup of coffee in the morning.
Exactly. Or a sunny day, a kind word from a friend, a funny meme you saw online. It's about training yourself to notice and appreciate the good things, even amidst the challenges.
And I guess that's where the joy part comes in, right? Finding those little sparks of happiness throughout the day.
You got it.
Okay, all of this sounds great in theory, but let's be realistic. Breaking the worry habit takes time and effort. And, well, let's face it, we're not going to get it right all the time. There will be days when that worry just creeps back in.
Oh, for sure. There will be slip-ups. It's totally normal. The key is to be kind to yourself when that happens. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just acknowledge it and gently steer yourself back on track.
It's like learning any new skill, right? You're going to have some fumbles along the way.
Absolutely. The important thing is to keep practicing, keep learning.
Progress over perfection. I like that.
Yeah, much better way to think about it.
So, thinking about actually putting these ideas into action, this source has a really interesting reflect section that I think could be really helpful for creating a personalized action plan. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so let's start by identifying our worry triggers. What's that one thing, or maybe a few things, that tend to really set off your worry spiral? It could be a specific situation, certain people, maybe even types of news or information that get you feeling anxious.
And once you've identified those triggers, see if there are any ways you can limit your exposure to them. Maybe it's unsubscribing from certain email lists, setting boundaries in certain relationships, or even just consciously choosing to limit your news consumption.
It's about taking back control,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Choosing what you let into your mental space.
Exactly.
Okay, next step. Let's create what I like to call a worry weapon. It's a go-to prayer or affirmation that directly addresses your specific worry, something you can repeat to yourself whenever that anxious thought pops up.
Yeah, I like that. A worry weapon.
Like if your worry is about an upcoming presentation, your worry weapon might be, I am prepared, I'm confident, I can do this, something like that.
And don't be afraid to use it often. It's all about repetition. If you find yourself saying it 50 times a day, that's okay. You're retraining your brain.
So true. All right, so to sum up everything we've explored in this deep dive, the big takeaway here is that you don't have to be a prisoner of your worry. You have the power to choose how you respond.
That's right.
Replace worry with prayer, counter those negative thoughts with truth, and cultivate a heart full of gratitude. These are not just feel-good ideas. There's real science and practical techniques behind them.
Absolutely. And just imagine what could be possible in your life if you could break free from worry and channel that energy into something positive and creative. What would that feel like? What amazing things could you achieve?
That's something to think about.
It really is.
All right, everyone, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.